Hello, my name is Nigel Williams, and I'll be doing my presentation on permanency planning barriers and challenges. Permanency means legally permanent. Caseworkers focus on strengthening families and preventing from placing children in foster care. It also focuses on returning them as soon and as safely as possible if they are directed to foster care. These are some of the permanency goals. The goal is to have children reunified with their birth parents instead of going in foster care or with relatives. But we do make sure that the guardianship with the relatives is a safe and fit environment. There is also another planned permanent living arrangement for children who are stuck in foster care. These are some of our facts. There are about 700,000 children in foster care. Children whose social workers do not have an degree tend to stay in foster care or in care longer than children whose caseworkers do have a social work degree. Also, 3.5% of potential adoptive families follow through with the adoption process. Children whose parents are alcoholic, Hispanic, African American children, children with mental illnesses, and children with disabilities are really the targets when it comes down to permanency planning and those being left in foster care. Some of our top barriers would be not enough staff to be able to take on the caseloads dealing with the permanency planning, not enough training, and lack of knowledge and recruitment strategies. Also, the barrier to overcome these barriers, we have designated specialized staff who are set to take care of the permanency planning for children and adults. We also have training, and they want statewide. They want them to use the statewide use of information sessions and the training calendars to improve timeless accessibility. Also, we have the Permanency Innovations Invite. This is developed to reduce the time a child spends in foster care. The Permanency Innovations Invite aims to implement innovations, intervention strategies informed by relative literature to reduce long-term stay in care. It is used as an implement science framework enhanced by child welfare experience to guide technical activities, and also to build an evidence-based disseminate findings to build knowledge in the child's welfare field. In conclusion, to overcome these barriers to permanency within the child welfare system, they must have a specialized team to focus on the recruitment process. They must also integrate public and private recruitment selection activities. There has been a continued research to test the effectiveness of promising practices and dialogue with child welfare workers. Here is where I will introduce two interventions that ties into my presentation on permanency planning. It is the family violence intervention. It is an approach to help youth who are in care and are at risk of being placed in care, and to reconnect them with their families. It aims to provide a social and emotional safety net for foster youth who have neither permanency or plan or either and does not have a connection with their biological parents. With this intervention, there are 6 steps. The steps will be discovery, engagement, blended perspective, decision making, evaluation, and then a follow-up. The results will be 60% of the youth achieved some form of permanency. 30% of youth had a connection with their caseworker, while the other 8.6% reported having a connection after the intervention. 74.1% of the youth agreed that they had a connection with adults who would provide a lifelong support in their lives. 69% of the youth had an adult that committed to permanent parent-like relationship upon them. Extensive family finding also resulted in a greater likelihood that a child would achieve permanency through placement with a relative and a less likelihood of aging out of care with no permanency. Here is the court-appointed special advocates, CASA. This is where volunteers come and be trained as advocates for permanency on behalf of the child. and each of them is given one caseload so they can have more time with the child and make sure that the permanency planning is going step by step so they can achieve it. It's just more time for them to focus on the case instead of having multiple caseloads. Although they do not have a degree, they do have specialized training. The CASA intervention is an effective providing a better advocacy for the best interest of the child. Like I said, spending more time on cases, finding a good placement, and develop perspective factors such as an optimistic attitude toward future social skills and community resources. The results are the CASA cases had a greater portion of adoption, 27.1%, and a smaller portion of reunification with birth parents, 42.6%. Children who did receive the CASA intervention were more likely to be adopted or reunified with their relatives than birth parents. And permanency outcomes were measured and included reunification with birth parents, reunification with relatives, and adoption.